Are we rolling? Oh.
Dear Dorine.
How much of me is in it, just so I know, like, frame?
Your knees. You can see your
Enough?
knees.
Okay.
Knees enough.
Knees enough? Cool.
No, it's just your knees.
That's right. Do they look good?
They're great.
I've been working on my knees. Okay.
Dear Dorine, melancholy child, they'll remind you of silver linings and always smiling.
There she
though
is.
it all
There she is. I was even gonna do a barrette.
She's not 40.
Dear Dorine,
Nice frame. Okay.
it
I
doesn't
tried to do a little
seem
ribbon for the...
I love it. So this.
but your reflect on it all as much
It came out cool.
Almost identical.
It's pretty
Should I let my hair down?
good. Yeah, can you? Can you hold that picture up again? That's great. Super great. Yeah, it's really great. So you can pick up the photo if you want. You don't have to leave it at
Sure.
a distance, but you
Yeah.
can leave it at a distance.
Okay.
If you'd like.
Yeah, I'll grab her when I feel like it.
How old are you in this photo, approximately?
Wow, off to a great start. I would venture to say that in that photo I was 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Okay. Do you remember anything about that day, or even as something as generally as that time in your life? Anything standing out to you? It could be something you associate with the clothing you have on. Anything at
Yeah.
all specific.
I remember being really into bright colors at this time, and my teeth were starting to come in. You can kind of see like my 2 front teeth. For a long time those were bigger than my mouth, so this was like the beginning of a period where my mom would just be like, smile, and I'd be like, and she'd be like, put your teeth back in your mouth, and I didn't know how to smile. I think I was a very sunshiny kid, but right around this time I developed some fears that are still with me, and yeah, so that's what I associate, I think, is like lots of colors, lots of like energy, and then some shifting into different headspaces that would influence me forever. It was around this time, I think, that I had a pretty bad stomach bug.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was in kindergarten or something, or 1st grade, and no, how old are you when you're in kindergarten? You're like 4 or 5?
4 or 5.
Right? And I just developed this horrible phobia of vomiting because it was such a horrible experience, like that feeling. And just this fear of my own body, like not knowing when I would have control over it, and not knowing when I would, and, you know, trying not to make a mess or be something that people didn't want me to be. And that, yeah, that's been something that I have struggled with ever since, I think.
There's 2 people in your photo.
Yes.
Can you tell the camera which person is you?
I'm the little one right here, and this one's my older sister.
And how old were you in this photo?
I was around 8 or 9 years old. I grew up in Tinton Falls, just down the road from here. Yeah, spent most of my life there.
And are you still living in Tinton Falls?
Yep.
Yeah. Is that in the house that you grew up in?
Yes. I don't live there anymore. My parents got divorced when I was 20. Well, they split when I was 20 and got divorced a couple years later and had to sell the family home. But I've always loved the town. It's where I first got my love for music, for the environment, for just everything that's made me who I am as a person today. My hair has always been something that I think about often because I grew up with very naturally curly hair. I still have very naturally curly hair. And my mom was one of two growing up, so she didn't really have a lot of like girly influence in her life. And she had always decided my haircuts until I was old enough to take care of my own hair. And I always remember having the straight across bangs and hating it. Because I didn't like having hair in my face. And also like, you know, blow drying and straightening and all of the things that curly hair people aren't really supposed to do.
I think I was 5. I'm pretty sure that's my kindergarten picture. I think. Don't remember much.
Yeah. Do you remember much about being 5 or what you were like at 5?
I remember that my grandmother cut my bangs, and they were terrible.
Are those
Yeah,
the
they're
bangs?
a little choppy. I think that might have been like a few weeks grown. It was really like, it was bad.
Your bangs look great.
Oh, thanks.
Can you hold up little you next to you? And we can see your bangs. It's great.
Oh, I was missing a tooth. Little
Yeah.
bottom tooth.
Little bottom too. So, how old were you in this photo? Do you know, or can you approximate?
I got a gap in my teeth. Probably from a missing tooth. I don't know exactly when that all happens. Geez, I don't know. 8 or 9?
8 or 9. Where was that? Do you know?
That's probably at a swim lesson at the YMCA. I didn't even remember this picture existed. I was going to bring a different picture. And Katherine held it up and said, "What about this?" I said, "Oh yeah, I like that. I'm still trying to keep my head above water." So it felt like it connected.
So these are all my class photos. So this is the first one. So kindergarten. So I guess that's 6.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume, depending on when they took photos.
Mhm.
It might have been 5, but yeah, one of those 2. I think 6 though. But the little desk was there. I remember the shirt and the holding my hands like that, like folding them one over another.
So according to my mother, I was about 3 or 4. At that time, I lived in Queens, New York. And so my brothers and I, we all lived in this huge house. So I just remember running up and down stairs and just getting into trouble in the backyard and all of that good stuff. So just a lot of fun times during that time.
How many brothers, sisters, siblings do you have?
I have 4 brothers, no sisters. Wow. Yeah.
And where do you fall in terms of age with everybody?
I'm the baby.
You're the baby.
Yes. And I have a twin brother, so there's a matching picture. He's in his sailor suit, sitting on this hump of whatever, and yes.
I want to say I was probably 6 or 7.
And what was this, like a Halloween day? Or was it just any day?
No, it was Halloween. I was going into school wearing this outfit. That is Raphael from the Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember having an affinity for that character, but either way, my mom made this costume. It's mostly felt. She really labored for probably a week and a half to make it.
Raphael, wasn't he the brooding one?
Yeah, he was like kind of moody. And so I remember, like, you know, around this time, I was definitely probably more of a Michelangelo kid. Yeah, but I'm wondering if maybe like I was just going through like a red phase. I don't really remember the Halloween. I remember it was like strangely nice out, you know, for autumn, fall. And I remember how uncomfortable it was to wear that turtle head all day in school.
Did you do it? Did you keep it on all
Yeah,
day?
I kept it on.
Was it because you were committed to the character or because your mom would be upset if you took it off?
Oh, no, I think I was just committed to the character. I was very committed to the character as a child. But yeah, I was always kind of coming up with, you know, these elaborate fantasy realms when I was playing, and I was always drawn to bright colors and patterns and things like that, and goofing. You know, like as a baby, my mom, or a toddler, I guess, my mom said that once I found out that you're not supposed to flush things down the toilet, like pennies and pencils, that's all I wanted to do, because I knew people would chase me as I ran to throw the stuff in the toilet.
What was it about them chasing you that you enjoyed?
The mischief. You know,
You just wanted to get in trouble.
Yeah, just, you know, just the reaction of the person going like, no! No! I mean, this was not intentional when I picked this picture, but this was like probably a year before my parents got divorced. And so this is like me before, you know, just having like my child world kind of turned upside down.
Yeah.
And I would say that, like, I have a very distorted view of children in that I believe that they have no innocence, because I don't remember having innocence. I remember kind of recognizing, like, how I had to protect my parents from what I thought or what I knew. But I now know that that is a distortion, and that there was a time when I had innocence. And I would say that this is one of the, like, last photos of me in that, like, stage of innocence. Which is funny, because I'm in the body of a turtle.
Probably around 2, I
Around
think.
2?
Yeah. I probably should have asked my mom to clarify before, but yeah. Because I was trying to stick within the 2 to 10 framework, and I was like, do I look 2 in this photo? And I think, yeah, maybe a little older.
Adorable.
Thanks.
Do you know where it was
Head.
taken?
Huge head. My God, thank God I kind of grew into that thing. It was taken at the house I grew up in Manalapan, in the backyard. There's a little kiddie pool behind me, and I remember that little red and yellow car that I think every kid in the 80s, 90s had one. So, but yeah, that was in my house in Manalapan. Because I just think that all of my memories from, like, the summers there were like my favorite, because, well, I guess we didn't have an in-ground pool yet, but we had an above-ground pool. So, and there's a little play pool behind me. So, and I'm a summer baby. So that's probably approaching my birthday at some point, actually. But it just was, like, fun and playful and warm and, like, just nice. I like that time of year so much better than winter anyway, but I just remember having a lot of really fun summers when I was little. So I might be projecting that feeling onto this age since I can't remember, but I was born there, and I celebrated my last birthday as 30 there, and then moved. So 30 years.
And how do you feel about that house?
Oh my God, I miss it so much. Still to this day. What's it been? Like, yeah, 5 years, I guess. That house was I have lived very few other places in my life, but that house was like the epitome of home for me, and I've noticed that even in the past 5 years living in my new house, it still doesn't have the same thing.
I was in 4th grade, so I guess, what is that, 9? I remember that my mom let me pick out whatever I wanted to wear, and that I was always excited for picture day. I know some people don't look forward to picture day, but I was very, you know, it was like a performance or something. It was like a show. When I was this age also, I had a best friend, and we used to go through, in the 70s, there used to be a thing, like you would get these big catalogs, and so Sears catalog. And we used to like to cut little pictures out and glue them on cardboard, and we would do interior decorating. We would make these little houses, and it was the best for no reason. Like, we didn't give it to anybody or anything.
I think I'm like 6 or 7. 5 maybe? I really don't know. It's got no date on
date on it.
So I'm not
So
5 or 6.
Was this like an Easter event, for a wedding or a...
I think Easter, because of the plastic hat and little Lammy. I remember I was very into stuffed animals as a kid throughout childhood. I loved stuffed animals and how cute and squishy they were. And I remember, I think this was the time when I had very strong feelings that they had feelings and didn't want any of them to feel left out, so I would cycle through which ones I slept with at night, and I'd make little marks on them with markers so I could like track which ones were you know, getting the primo,
getting
sleeping
the
in the bed
attention.
spot. I mean, there were some mainstays like that always got to sleep in the bed, but like I had a shelf and I would cycle through them.
Do you remember who some of your mainstays were?
Ricky Raccoon and a little pink Gund bear. I don't know if you remember the Gund brand, but yeah, it was like a little pink panda-ish.
Does it evoke any feeling for you? The dress?
Itchiness, like supreme itchiness of like having to wear the very uncomfortable, not just church, but like holiday specific foofery. But also tempered by the love of candy.
Yes. Yes.
So like the feeling of a trade-off of I will wear this because there is a lot of candy today.
Yes, yes. So you were not generally a child who liked to get gussied up for occasions.
No, definitely. I remember having a meltdown many times in many stores about not wanting to wear, not because they were too like froofy or anything, just because like they're so god awful uncomfortable. But like I couldn't bear to wear them.
I hated wearing dresses.
Is that a dress in that picture?
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. And I think my grandmother made it. I loved my grandmother, but I didn't like the things that she made me do. At that age, I remember being into Legos and not really dolls. I had 2 older brothers and like a bunch of foster brothers. I did like My Little Pony. Those were awesome. But I spent most of my time outside in the country, ice skating, sledding, swing set, whatever. We lived in like, the nearest neighbor was like a mile away.
And you said you had a bunch of foster
In and
siblings?
out, foster brothers, yeah. Always boys.
Always boys. Were you the only girl?
Yeah. That sucked. That was terrible.
What were you, were you also the youngest?
Yeah, yeah, by like a lot.
So you said you were one of 5, the
Yeah.
youngest of 5?
Yeah. Do you want to hear a crazy story?
Yeah.
My mom had all of us at home, in different homes, but she had like I want to say the first 3 of my brothers and sisters, Jonah, Micah, Sarah, Rose, me. Jonah, Micah, and Sarah, I think she had them with a midwife. And then with Rose and myself, I'm pretty sure she didn't have a midwife, and it was just her and my dad. I know for my birth that she didn't have a midwife, and she also told me that she felt the need or more comfortable to stand up when she was birthing me.
Wow.
And I tell people that I am biblical corded into life. But yeah, like my dad like kind of like caught me, and my mom was standing. She said, I don't know why, but it was more comfortable. I found that interesting. They were like super religious back then and super strict growing up, and that was like with the same original thought, like keeping it so that no one's involved in our stuff kind of thing. Being one of 5 trapped in a home is crazy. We weren't really allowed to leave our house till we were like 16.
Wow.
So there was like backyard stuff and like front street sports, but not like, you know, going to people's houses and being adventurous till we were adults. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great. So like we're not super close, but we talk sometimes, kind of thing. But my dad was messed up, so like I'm sure we all slightly avoid the whole childhood thing, and that involves each other a little bit.
I had a cheat code because I had a twin brother. So, built-in friend, and then you just glom onto their friends. And it works most of the time unless you're fighting with your brother. Then it gets worse. We fucking hated each other. Until we didn't. And then he would try to fight me. I wouldn't want to fight him. We would inevitably break something in our house and then team up together to fix it before anybody noticed. Or we'd be like trying to kill each other, and then somebody would decide to yell at us, and then we would both turn on that person because then they were the asshole. So, as much as we didn't like each other at points, it was always us over everybody else.
I remember being so excited for my big sister to go to prom. Her senior year, she had gotten really sick, and she wasn't sure if she was going to be even able to go to prom. And so when she was finally jumped through all of the hoops through the Board of Education and her teachers and all of the stuff like that, and she got the okay to go to prom, I just remember being so absolutely thrilled, thinking that she looked like a princess, and just being so very happy for her.
I was the first child, so like she had all the creative mom energy for me. You know, birthday parties where she was making customized props, you know, for the themes. Yeah, she did a Power Ranger themed one, and she made like a big Power Ranger cutout so that you could put your face, you know, in the hole, and then it was like...
Oh my god.
And
That's amazing.
she's got like a very recognizable hand, like her signature, the way she draws. It's very like mom from the 90s. And so like if you could imagine like mom from the 90s style Power Ranger.
Yeah, when I was 7, so there was a upright piano in our, like, there was a room that nobody went in. It had like some antiques and an upright piano that no one touched. And I begged and begged for piano lessons. And when I was 7, my dad said that I could finally have them, but I had to play basketball.
To play piano.
I hated basketball. But I played. And everyone thinks because I'm tall, like, you have to be good. It's so stupid. So I played basketball from like the time I was 7 until my junior year of high school, when I broke my leg during basketball season, so I didn't have to play. It was awesome. But I did, I played piano. I got lessons probably only for like a year. And then my dad didn't want to pay for them anymore, so I just kept teaching myself. But they were like $8 for an hour.
Do you remember anything in particular about what you were like at that age? What your interests were?
I was a precocious child. No, yeah, I mean, at that age, I was probably already playing violin in an orchestra.
Wow.
I was playing in the New Jersey State Youth Orchestra in the beginners, probably. So I learned, I started violin when I was 4. So I would have already been playing violin. I was probably just learning how to play the guitar.
Wow.
And I was probably playing with a lot of Legos. And listening to cassette tapes that my father recorded for me from his record collection. So on one side it would be, Paul Simon, and then you flip it over and it's T-Rex.
Wow.
So I would play with Legos and like really take in the entire record collection. I took swimming lessons. I was in gymnastics. I used to really like climbing the rope all the way up to like the roof of the church auditorium. I think that was in Asbury Park. My parents wanted me to be relatively capable.
I mean, that's more than relatively capable, climbing a rope to the roof of the church.
I can tumble.
Can you tumble right now? Well, not right now.
Yeah, I can tumble.
Wow.
I can do a diving somersault.
Wow.
Do a flip into the pool,
Wow.
Yeah. Do a round off.
Wow. Maybe not at this age, but do you remember, because I know oftentimes this changes over the course of our childhood, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I don't really remember. Oh, okay, so if anything, I was in ballet. Yeah, so I probably wanted to be a dancer, and I definitely wanted a tutu bad. really, really bad. So yeah, and I think actually growing up, I still had this idea in my mind that I could be a choreographer. I just like dance, but I did end up being a cheerleader in high school, so it was kind of like the closest thing to it.
For how long did you dance?
I want to say all throughout middle school and high school, and then a little bit in college.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to wear a tutu?
I did.
Please say yes. That's a long time to dance.
Yeah, definitely. And it was fun.
Do you still dance at all now?
Just, on my own at parties and stuff, but not anywhere. No shows, no gigs.
What do you do now, professionally?
Whoo, wow. So, just recently I quit teaching. So I was a visual arts teacher in New York for close to 15 years.
Wow.
And then started dabbling into music, and the whole mandate for teachers, I kind of was like, I think this is my time to kind of go out and try something different. I am an artist. Let me try, spewing in art maybe, or just like getting out of New York and just doing something different. So it brought me back here to New Jersey, and so right now that's what I'm doing, pursuing music. Even though I just applied to be a teacher's aide, and I'm like, I think I might want to get my toes wet back in teaching, only because I miss the students so much. And music can be so lonely, I guess. It's fun writing and practicing and doing all of that fun stuff, whatever. But it's like I'm also 42, so I just kind of want to like figure out what like a staple just in case,
Oh, I know. I understand. Do you know at that time what you wanted to be when you grew up?
At that point, I don't think so. I think at that point I just wanted to make people smile. It was around this time that my grandparents started introducing me to singing, and they would just like plop me up on the table at like Thanksgiving or whatever the holiday would be, and my mom's dad, taught me patriotic songs, so I would be singing like God Bless America and My Country 'Tis of Thee. Wouldn't catch me singing those nowadays, but back then that was the repertoire, and very shortly after that it was very clear that that's what I wanted to do. But I think in this phase I was still just playing with life, with like textures and what it means to like know that you're in a body.
A sense of wonder about the world.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Do you know at that age, do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Yes.
What did you want to be?
A singer.
A singer.
I wanted to perform because my parents took me to a lot of Broadway shows at this age and all the time. And I wanted to be just like what I saw on stage.
Do you remember when you first had that thought, what show you saw or what it was that made you feel that way?
I think it was Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. That was one of my first earliest. That or Fiddler on the Roof, one of those two. And I was just instantly enamored by Broadway and the stage, and I would meet people at the stage door and want to be one of them,
And so, now do you sing now?
Not professionally. Occasionally I do get paid, but not on the regular. I am a mom, and I take care of my 2 special needs children. And that's what I do. I also have my own business on Etsy. I weave, and I also take photography, that I put on Instagram.
I was in Junior Air Force ROTC in high school, and this was clearly Uniform Picture Day.
So you wanted to fly planes?
I did. I wanted to be a fighter jet pilot, and then I did ROTC in high school, and then, you know, slowly shook off the bullshit of war and realized that flying a fighter jet means you just murder people, and I wasn't really for that. That time in my life was weird. I tend to be driven when I sink my teeth into something, and I went headfirst into ROTC, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I have no lasting friends from it. I don't like any of those people, but I really enjoyed it when I was in it. I was very good at it. I'm a very regimented person in general, so I would have fit in perfectly in the military. I didn't do it my freshman year, and I was still third in command by my senior year because I just gave it everything I had. I forget, I think it was 96 the first PlayStation came out, and my family like came into a little bit of money that we normally didn't have, and they bought me and my brother the first PlayStation, and the game that came with it was Air Combat, where you just fly a fighter jet, and that's all I ever wanted to do. But yeah, as far as I know, that was it. Or play baseball, but that didn't work out. I could have become like a commercial pilot or something, but at that point, like, it was the end of high school. I like started hanging out with a bunch of punks and couldn't give a shit about any of that.
Did you enjoy photography at that age? When did you
I
start
did. I
doing
started
that?
taking pictures when I was 14. I mean, every little kid has disposable cameras. That's just a thing. Well, maybe not now, but
No, now.
But then I think I got my first like film camera, which was a Kodak Advantix, which was like film camera for dummies. It had a diagonal shaped film cartridge that you just dropped in and it loaded it for you. And it was just a point and shoot camera, and I have like boxes full of pictures somewhere in my attic from that camera. And ever since then, like, I haven't stopped taking pictures.
Can you talk about what you do now?
I work for Frito-Lay and put chips on the shelf. Also take pictures and film things for everyone, including this.
I wanted to be a lawyer named Skip.
Named Skip?
Yeah, and I mean, I only remember this because I had to, one of the classes we did an arts and crafts thing where we had to make like what we thought we would look like as an adult. And so there's this paper cut out of me in like a suit and tie, and my name was Skip. And I think I just liked the name because I had read it in a Goosebumps book. But I think that came a little later. Like, I don't think this version of me was like, I'm going to be a lawyer.
A lawyer named Skip.
Yeah. I think they were asking that question at a time when I didn't understand what a job was.
Yeah, as they do.
And I was just like, yeah, sure, like lawyer. So this was probably like first grade. In preschool or kindergarten, my mom had to have a conference with my teacher because the teacher had said that I was delusional because I would talk about myself as if I were Spider-Man, and also that Spider-Man was my friend. So like, you know, it was kind of dissociative in that way. Mm-hmm. And my mom was just like, I think he's just like using his imagination. But so around this time, I think I was not concerned with career so much as like, I'm going to be a superhero. It was probably like superhero, lawyer, and then when I started to mature, like middle school, high school, I thought I was just going to be a professional rollerblader. Yes. And then I watched the X Games, and I saw like a 14-year-old Japanese kid do this like triple backflip, and I was like, well, I won't be doing that.
No.
And then that was when I think I got into like the arts, and I was like, oh wait, so you can not have a boss. This is probably what I'm going to do. And then that was it.
Yeah.
I was sold after that point.
Can you elaborate as to what you're doing now professionally?
Yeah, so doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I do graphic design, animation, video, I do creative workshops, really just anything that's in the creative realm. But I am getting paid to do it. That's what's awesome. And while there are people I do have to answer to sometimes, I, for the most part, can make my own schedule, I'm my own boss, and it's stressful but awesome. I wouldn't want any other life, really.
Do you remember what you wanted to be when you grew up, when you were a kid?
It's actually funny you're asking me that question because I was thinking about it the other day because I was like, I don't know if I remember beyond like 10 or younger if there was something like, you know, princess or astronaut or like president. I don't know if I ever had one of those, but I had engaged in performing from such a young age that I think kind of that just took over, and I never really thought about other things that I wanted to be, or at least I can't remember.
What was your first time on stage in any capacity? Just had a memory of auditioning for The King and I when I was 6, and I didn't get cast because I didn't fall in the height order the children needed to be. No.
And they lost my paperwork and made me sing Happy Birthday twice. And then my mom asked me what I learned from the experience, and I said that I never wanted to do anything like this ever again. So maybe not like, but clearly I just went for punishment. That didn't stop me. But I think it was summer camp. I went to camp and we did like Snow White and the 100 Dwarfs. I was one of the 100 Dwarfs. But so probably around like, I guess 6 or 7.
So what do you do now?
I'm a drama therapist. I'm a mental health counselor with the fire department of New York City. I love it. It is so hard. It's very draining because I'm still new at it and kind of not holding some of the more traumatic things I've been exposed to through my work, and some more of the like just the distress of you know, people really aren't coming into my office on their best days, so finding that way to not totally take that on because I can't manage that for all of the folks that I see. But I love it. I find being able to sit with folks in really hard times and kind of just help them hold really hard things means a lot. And also, of course, seeing people who are like, I feel better, like that's really nice too. And finding moments of like play and creativity, especially like working with firefighters and EMS and you know, these big like dudes, and they're like, how do you get firefighters to do drama therapy? And I'm like, firefighters are basically giant teenagers, so they're actually very creative and very playful if you find kind of the way to get in there with that. So finding the moments of finding the creativity, finding the play, and helping them realize like, oh, this can make me feel better and this can help me feel better.
Yeah. Do you know at that age, did you aspire to be anything in particular when you grew up?
Yes. So, and my parents and my siblings, even well before this, I would go up to people and I say, hi, my name's Boots and I want to be the president when I grow up. Will you vote for me? So like, I wanted to be the president, and that has changed. I you know, getting to learn a little bit more about what that entails and the, for lack of a better word, drama that goes with it. Not something I'd really want to be now, but like I said, I still have such strong ties to government work, especially, you know, on a federal level, it's different, but like county, municipal level, like the biggest way to affect change is to do it, you know, in your own personal sphere. And that's something that I've always really found so interesting.
So what do you do now?
So I am in environmental science. Currently I'm working at an engineering company, but I'm hoping to get back into government just because, you know, the way COVID and everything happened, I had to leave my county parks job that I had been working at for 5 years, and I loved it there.
Yeah.
But, you know, healthcare is something that's very important.
I do.
Yeah, but I eventually want to get back into government doing environmental science or like nature education or even like planning, zoning, things like that as well.
Did you know what you wanted to be?
I had a very sheltered life, so it was basically just what I knew. I've been playing drums since I was 1. My dad has like a VHS of me like sitting on a stool with sticks that are as big as I am trying to hit stuff. But yeah, so I just remember like when they would ask me, I would write down like want to be a professional drummer. But when it would come to like a real thing that would get like, you know, graded and handed in, I would also put down that I wanted to be a painter, because that's what my dad was, and that's what I was already doing, not here, but at 8 years old I started painting with my dad. So yeah, just like a this is all I know type of thing. I never had like a I'll be an astronaut type of thing. But yeah, I always used to write that down or shout that out, like drummer and painter.
A drummer and
like
a painter.
both.
What do you do now?
I'm an HVAC technician, so I install air conditioning and heat, and I service air conditioning and heat. I got into it like 2.5 years ago. I'm actually like 4 days away from finishing this year of school, trade school, so I have like 2 years left. There's 4 years in total. Yeah, it's cool. It's learn a lot about like real world physics that apply to the refrigerant and stuff that like change the way you think about real world.
That's cool.
Yeah, I like working with my hands, but also like learning how to like fix stuff. And HVAC is like plumbing and electricity alongside of HVAC, so I can like I have fixed my sink and things like that, even though that's not my like main trade, you know.
That's good to be able to
do
that. How did you get into that? What prompted you?
Well, I've been working since I was 8 as a painter with my dad, so I had that like slight like trade background, I guess you could say, because it was just painting houses, like spackle paint, all that jazz. And as I got older and I had like some regular like McDonald's jobs and stuff like that, I got into construction, and that was the first time when I wouldn't say I found what I wanted to do, but I felt more comfortable being able to do it day in and day out. It was something I really struggled with, finding what I wanted to do and being comfortable doing it so often, so many hours straight. But yeah, after I found that type of work, I bounced around through a few things. Deck builder, I was a chimney sweep for a while. And like once I found HVAC, I had another friend who like recommended it. And yeah, like I said, like the physics part of it and the things that like make it interesting are pretty constant.
Do you still paint with your dad every once in a while?
No. That's something that like, you know, it's like a bologna sandwich, like you had too many of it and you can't have it anymore.
Do you still play the drums?
Yeah, it's hard, it's tough. I have a household of like 4 other roommates. I have a 5-bedroom with a bunch of other kids my age. So I don't play the drums specifically as much, my drum set, because it would freak our pets out and everyone was sleeping. But I actually keep drumsticks in my car and I play my steering wheel like almost every day.
Do you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? Like at that time were you like...
I think at that age, I wanted to be a travel agent because my mom was a travel agent. I think that was as far as... Once Jurassic Park came out, I absolutely just wanted to be a paleontologist.
Yeah.
But that wasn't for another few years. But yeah, I think at that age, I just wanted to, you know,
be a travel agent.
Having absolutely no idea what that like really, just because my mom was cool. I did not have like a fondness for like, you know, I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna travel the world and be a travel agent and help people. I was just like, Mom does this, so I will. I am a writer and editor.
Writer and editor.
So.
Did little Katherine like books, reading, anything? Like
Yes, I always loved reading. And I don't want to say I taught myself to read, but I was very, very interested in reading from as young as I could possibly start trying to do it. So I think I more memorized books and then in a precocious way was like, I've taught myself how to read, but I really was just like repeating books that were read to me, and I had a good enough, you know, they had been read to me enough that I could regurgitate them pretty well.
Yeah.
I always liked reading and writing as a kid. I don't think I had a concept that was something that I could actually do with my life. It seemed very like other and alien. I don't want to say alien, but just like beyond.
Do you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? Or did you go through phases of different things that you
I,
wanted
for
to
the
be?
longest time, wanted to be an underwater archaeologist.
Wow.
Yeah, I was so into it. And then it changed to like marine biologist. And then I didn't do any of that.
Yeah, what did you study when you were in college?
So the first time I went was pre-med.
Wow.
The second time I went was film scoring, which
Wow.
I would have loved to stick with that, but I didn't have that opportunity really. And then I tried advertising and commercial art. That was all back when I was like 18, 19, 20. And then I finally went back as an adult in 2016 and got an associate's in math and science.
So what do you do now?
Now I work for an energy company that helps people get money back from the government to install like electric vehicle charging stations and to meet their carbon caps in their buildings. Lots of like engineering stuff and really important, cool stuff.
Around that time, I went to space camp. Yeah. So, my friend Justin and I went to space camp in middle school. And my father, my parents, with my brother, drove us to, I think it was in Arkansas. We took a really long drive to space camp. So, I remember really being interested in, like, somehow being involved in mission control. Yeah.
Mission control. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was really into, math and science. I went to high technology high school in Lincroft. I was so fried on technology and computers at the end of high school that I decided to be an English major. Because my parents refused to pay for a music major. They said there's no future in it. So I rebelled. And now I do that.
If little Adrienne, not necessarily 3-year-old, but a younger version of yourself, could like peer through a portal or a crystal ball and see you now,
Oh, wow.
what would she think?
Unbelievable, like incredible. What? I would have never, never say never, because my experiences, the places I've been, that's, moving to New Jersey in the first place with my mom and my mom and dad separating.
Oh, wow.
So much, that would have never predicted.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What would you think about, let's think of like things, I want to think of things separately. Because if you sat her down, you're like, well, so what I do is I write and perform my own music for people, and I play it, for crowds of people. How would she feel about that?
She would laugh in the way that I'm laughing right now. Shake her head no, maybe go screaming away like, are you nuts? Are you insane? Especially because I have locks also. And my father had them when I was this age. And he would always tease me, like, you want the notchy dreads? And I'd be like, no. So I crack up whenever I see myself now. It's like, yeah, like, what a 180 from, what I thought at this age or a little older for what beauty standards were or for what, me growing up, what that would even mean and doing.
Yeah.
But definitely not writing. No part of my life did I ever think that I would be writing music or even playing the guitar. Like, what? No. Never. Never. Are you crazy?
And with teaching, so you said your mom was a teacher too. So how would a young version of yourself feel about you being a teacher?
Again, just unbelievable. That was the farthest thing from my mind because my mom did it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do everything but. At one point I thought that I wanted to be a fashion designer. It's just like I kind of went all over in my creative mindset. But now that I'm where I'm at now, I know that that's just like the creative juices that were flowing in me. It's like, something with my hands and creating and doing and being involved and performing to a degree.
I don't know. I think that this little kid would. I mean, this child smiled at everything. I think that they would just I think that they would cheer me on. I think. Well, do they know that that's who they would become? Is that the question? Like,
I think, yeah, it's
or
introducing
is it a separate
them to grown up them.
Future them. I think that this is Julie. This is like the chapter of my life that I'm totally Julie in these photos. I am not yet Jules in this photo. I think that Julie would be so proud and like kind of astonished that I've grown in the ways that I have. I think that they would also feel pretty heartbroken for me in that I'm still trapped in the same cages that developed so early on, but that I'm like persevering. I think they would be really proud and think that I'm pretty sick, like pretty cool for maintaining my creativity and not just maintaining it, but using it as a vehicle to create a sense of safety and a sense of belonging within myself and the people that I love.
I think she'd be very proud of me. I think she'd be very proud. Sorry.
It's okay.
I think she'd be very proud of how I'm taking care of kids that really need me, that might not be doing so well if I didn't use my creative spirit to help them find their place in the world. And I'm doing a lot of things like my mom did for me. You know, supporting their interests. You know, they're both artists in their own way. And that's what my mom did for me. So I feel very proud of that. Mm-hmm. That role is one of my most favorite and important jobs. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you'd probably be like, get me there now. You know, like, yeah, I don't know, I think he would be psyched.
What do you want? I mean, I'm trying to imagine this kid in like your studio space, like in the basement.
Yeah, he would be doing like backflips on like all the furniture and stuff. And it's funny because, you know, I'm getting to the age where some of my friends have kids who are this age. And I had a friend bring her son over, and it was a little bit like seeing this version of myself in that space, and he was just like, he's like, this is like a fun house. It's like an arcade. And he was like jumping on all the furniture. He's playing with the synthesizer. Just, you know, it was very cool to see because it's like I live in that space and it's a playground for a child. It's playground for me.
So what would like 9-year-old you think if they were able to have a meeting with you, have a sit down with you?
They'd be getting a lot of advice from me.
But what would that child think?
I think that child would be disinterested.
Really?
Well, yeah, because that would be like some sci-fi stuff, right? And I probably wouldn't believe that it was me. I'd probably be freaked out. I'd probably want to go like do something fun. I don't think that when you're that age you actually are thinking in that way, right? Like, I think if we had to hang out, we'd probably have fun. You know what I mean? Like, we'd probably like have a nice time. But I wouldn't want to like burden younger me with anything. And I wouldn't want younger me judging me in any way. And I don't think that younger me would judge me because younger me was not very judgmental. Younger me just like, I mean, I feel like I've held on to a lot of that, hopefully. Like, I want to be like in the moment as much as possible and like not really be worrying about what's coming or what happened. And like, And so yeah, so I feel like I probably had that then, and I probably have that now, so we'd probably just have a nice time. I hope.
I think she would be like, I don't know, skeptical, surprised, or confused of like, yeah, this is the path that we're choosing. Okay. Yeah, because it's just, I mean, I think little Samantha is happy that I've been able to find a way to hold on to that creative little playful person that's been a part of who I am, but also like find some kind of security or stability in something, I guess, more sustainable, because it didn't feel that way for me for a while. So kind of finding a way to merge all of those things. I think that she would be like, well, at least you didn't like totally give up kind of thing. But finding a way to kind of make my own way in the world, I guess.
I think, first of all, she'd be jazzed about me being a singer and, you know, getting out and playing in front of people, and has an album out. Like, I've always loved music, and I've always loved singing. I grew up singing in my church choir. She'd probably be upset about mom and dad, of course, but I think she'd be really happy to see that the relationship with her siblings has flourished.
So then what do you think little you would think if little you found out about adult you writing and editing? I know little you might not have a concept of what an editor is, but even if it was like, you're going to make books.
I think she'd be pretty jazzed.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'd probably be pretty excited about that.
I think you'd be ecstatic, to be honest. Growing up, I was always really scared for a bunch of different reasons, a lot of which stemmed from like just the world of that is society, of us having to like find a thing and like make enough money off of it to survive. It scared me from a young age, because like I said, I was working with my dad, seeing him doing it with painting houses since I was young. So yeah, a lot of teachers would have us like, you know, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that type of paper would like scare me, because I like knew what I was writing down was like so fake. But to if I was seeing from his eyes, my eyes as a kid, see where I've grown and how far I've come as a person, and spiritually specifically, something that young me knows nothing about, I think he'd be like so intrigued and like excited for me and us. I haven't published it yet, and I'm trying to work on finding a way to do so. Don't really know how yet, but I just finished organizing and somewhat editing my own poetry book. So I have like a journal that I wrote all in originally, but then I like reorganized it all, and it's like typed out how I would want to put it in a book, and I had my friend draw a cover and a back and everything. And just to show him the journal by itself would be mind-blowing. Because the whole like male doing something emotional type thing that he had as a kid, way of thinking that most males would put on. And then especially when in between him and me now, like adult teenage years and young 20s, like the amount of people in the workforce that like force an entirely different mindset on you. Yeah, to be able to like show him that like doesn't matter what people do to us anymore would be really cool, and he would be pumped.
He probably wouldn't be super pumped. I'm 36. I live at home. The world's on fire. I don't think we saw that coming at 16. I don't do a lot of the same hobbies. At that point, I was really into BMX. I probably thought I was going to do that forever, but knees aged, so that didn't work. I worked at ShopRite then. I think I'd be happy I was making more money, but I'm still in grocery stores every day, so not much has changed there. I think he'd be pumped we have the same friends. That'd be cool. He'd be real happy with my beard. I used to get yelled at all the time. So we had to shave, be clean shaven in uniform. We had to wear a uniform once a week. But I would let my facial hair grow, like start it the second I shaved from the uniform, which was Thursday morning, and then I wouldn't shave again until the next Thursday morning, and I would catch shit from the ROTC teachers all week long for not being clean shaven. But I would grow real stupid sideburns that would not get very big because they only grew for a week. Every single week. So, but I don't think he'd be, well, I don't think he'd be super pumped with some of the information I would have to give him. I think I'm very matter of fact about death in general. Like, death has never bothered me. I think it's just a part of life. Like, it's coming for every single one of us. I think death that upsets the natural order takes a little extra shock. Even when he first died, and this is like, it's a weird caveat to make, but like, I wasn't upset that he was dead. Or that he died. I was upset about all the things that wouldn't happen in the future. That is always what like bummed me out. Like, there are inherent truths that you think. Like, if you have a sibling, if you plan on getting old, getting married, having kids, like, they're gonna be there. It's gonna be you two till the end, like, through all else. Like, always thought that it would be me and him riding it out. And like, when that's suddenly taken away, that's the weird part. Like, if I ever had kids, they wouldn't have an uncle. Like, if I stay single forever, like, just assuming he would be there. Which, why wouldn't you?
What would a younger version of you think about you now? If they could like look through a portal and be like, this is gonna be when you're 44, what do you think? And this is what you're doing.
Probably, it's probably really amazing that I got here, considering that I had no opportunities to get here. Well, especially in my family. My parents are super conservative. My dad said that, and this is a quote, women don't need to go to college, they just need to find a good man to take care of them. So, the only option in my family, and you had to leave when you turned 18, was to get a job or go into the military. And they took me to do all the testing for the Navy. And I was like one signature away. And I got 100 on the ASVAB test, and they were like, you're going to be in the first woman back into the nuclear program, and we're going to put you on a submarine off the coast of Florida with 14 men. Just like pushed all the papers aside, and I went home and I wrote an essay to Ithaca College about why women don't need to go to college. They just need to find a good man. And then, so I got a $26,000 academic scholarship.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't able to keep going because my dad kind of pulled me out, but here I am. It doesn't matter.
If you had the opportunity to spend some time with a younger version of yourself, what would you say to her?
Woo! Wow. That there will be many different experiences. Lots of ups, lots and lots of downs. And you gotta keep your head up. And everything that happens is for a reason and for a lesson. So just look for the lesson and not for the pain or anything else.
Can you say that to her?
Oh my goodness! Oh my gosh! Okay, woo! Yes. So there will. Oh my! What did I even say? Looking at myself, it changes it. That is so. That is so interesting. So yeah, be prepared for a long journey of ups and downs. Lots of ups, lots of downs, but keep your head up. And just remember that everything happens for a reason. and focus on the reason, the lesson, more than the pain or the hurt that comes from those tribulations in life. And I love you.
If you could, so you're meeting them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could say anything to them, what would you say?
Oh. I think I would tell them to keep.
Wait, okay. Say it to them. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Say it to them.
Okay, okay.
Take,
okay.
yeah.
Colors are really cool, so keep having fun exploring those. And you are a ball of sunshine, and that never goes away, even when you don't feel like it. It is written on your face and in your hair. That's what I would say.
Well, first of all, I'd be like, let's go have some fun. Let's go dancing. Let's, I just would want to hold her hand and go skipping through the forest. And, I don't know, do some arts and crafts. And I'd want to do whatever she would want. She would probably wake me up and say, forget about all those worries. Let's go do this.
Probably listen. I definitely remember like a couple years ago watching like home movies and seeing like videos of myself and feeling like I don't know who that person is or was, like I'm so disconnected.
Yeah.
And that's, that like really, it hurt me to see. And I think, just kind of listening to what like the younger version of me has to say so that I could be like, oh yeah, like I remember this feeling, or I remember this type of excitement or naivete. And then, if I did have to say something, I would just be like, stay that way.
Stay just like that.
Stay just like that.
Is there something that you would ask? Or what would you ask? I should phrase that differently, because you could say, no, there's nothing I would ask him. Bye.
I guess I would be curious to see what young me had to say about what's it all about. What's this all for? What do you think it's all for? And what do you want to do with it? And then I would gesture around.
You said you would give him you would give you a lot of advice.
I would.
What are some things that you would want to say?
I don't want it to sound like I have regrets, because I don't. Because I wouldn't be here in this way if I had changed anything. But that said, there are a few things that I would like to. I would be curious to see how things would have gone if I had been able to sort of hold my ground at various moments in my life, right? So like I would like just tell younger me, like, hey, there's going to be a couple moments where you should really stick up for yourself.
So wait.
Yeah.
Can you tell?
You want me to tell the picture?
I want you to tell him. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mike, I've gone through a lot of stuff in my life. It's all gone pretty all right. You're in for a fun ride. But there are going to be a few moments where it's really important for you to stick to your guns and know that you're right in those moments. You'll know which ones they are. You'll have the impulse to stand back because you're in front of a more powerful personality. But stick to your guns.
Just you saying, if you could say anything to little Samantha, immediately made me want to start to cry.
I'm sorry. Well, can you pick her up and say it to her?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh
my god, that was so cute. Also, this bathing suit is slightly a little bit revealing. It's almost not covering. Like, Mom, my goodness.
Yeah, I think that was a
So,
thing.
2-year-old risque.
I
But-
had one like that too. I don't know what the deal was with that.
Probably outgrew it, and they're like,
Yeah.
just then put them in there. It's
Fine.
fine. They don't have anything yet anyway. But it's just very funny. I'm also like diverting because I was getting emotional.
Oh, I know.
So you could be a therapist too. I would tell her to, I don't know, just like try to just be yourself. Like even when it feels weird and you feel like an outsider and you feel like you're failing or you feel like you're not where you're supposed to be, kind of just trusting in that journey of that you'll go the places that you're supposed to and leave the places that you're supposed to, and that all, like allowing yourself to hold on to that part of you that makes you feel special and valuable, and you don't have to like follow anyone else's lead, and even when it feels weird, just keep going.
Mhm.
She was very confident, this little
She
girl.
seems very
Yes.
confident.
It got
No.
crushed out of her a little bit. Trying to find it back. So yeah, holding on to that confidence, I guess, right? Mm-hmm.
If you had Boots in a room with you, what would you say to her? What would you want to say to her?
Oh goodness. Well, I'd say and just like say how strong she is. I'd say how proud I would be of her, you know, like
You can say it. She's here.
yeah. It's true. You know, you go through a lot, and some of it's not easy and some of it's great. And you're going to do great things. It's, you know, talking about healing your inner child and letting that, you know, the things that you have to face that, like, you don't even realize, like, oh, this is a moment that you grew up at this moment and you're never going to be that young child, that innocent naivety, like, again. But, like, letting yourself kind of feel that childlike wonder again. I would want to ask her, I guess, like, how she's feeling. 'Cause I think that's something that she didn't get a lot. And, you know, tell her that her feelings are valid.
And you should definitely focus on your own wants and thoughts and know that they're as valid as everybody else's. What else? Don't smoke. It's not cool. You're gonna think it's cool, but it's not. Don't smoke.
It gets harder, a hell of a lot harder, in every possible way. But the bad makes you who you are just as much as the good. And it's gonna be okay. It really is.
Don't give up. Don't give up. There's a lot of times in your life where you're going to feel like you should, but you won't.
Can you tell her?
Yeah, don't ever. Always think of your grandmother. Grandma Aber. She was always like the accepting one in the family.
Was that your mom's mom or your
This is
dad's
my
mom?
dad's mom, crazy enough, but she was like full of love, took everybody in. I named my first cello after her.
I'm yours till you tear it out. I'm yours till you tear it out. Dorine. to paddle your own canoe, dear Dorine. I'm yours till you tear it out. 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 Dear Dorine, I'm yours till you tear it out. You're asking for it when you kiss a boy under his nose. Things turn upside down. I'm yours till you tear it out. Dear Dorine, I'm yours till you tear it out. I'm yours till you tear it out. I'm yours till you tear it out. Right there beneath the garden gate. Love is blind, but the neighbors say. I'm yours till you tear it out. I'm yours till you. Love is blind, but the neighbors say. I'm yours till you. Love is blind, but the neighbors say. Love is blind, but the neighbors say. Love is blind, but the neighbors say. You should remember always. Always remember. I'm yours till you tear it out. You'll be okay if you learn to paddle your own canoe. I'm yours till you tear it out. 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 I'm yours till you tear it out.